Hello, my name is Jack Grady. I'm a founder member of the Ox Mountain Poets based in Ballina, County Mayo. I'd like to thank Paul Castell and the group in Skibbereen for the honor of being able to share my poetry with you at the Speakeasy sessions. I'd also like to thank the Ballina Arts Center in Mayo for providing a base for the Ox Mountain Poets and for the many times it has hosted readings by the group. And I'd also like to thank Paul Fox of the Ballina Arts Center for recording this reading for me. The first poem I'm going to read is called Eucharist. It was published recently in October in the Honest Ulsterman. It's inspired by a poem by Vladimir Mayakovsky, the Russian poet, called Moonlit Night. It's also influenced by a poem by Serbian poet Novika Tadic called Antisan. So here's the poem, Eucharist. Let me drown in the fish soup of galaxies, in a breathless ocean of blackness, lit by the phosphorescent swirls of schooling stars, and by emission nebulae and towering shapes of jellyfish. Let me discover myself to be as significant in the midst of all this as copepod or krill. Let me be sifted through the baleen of a wormhole, to be sucked into the stomach of another universe. Let every soundbite my self-proclaimed genius shoots, every would-be profound probe I launch, and to the deep space unknown of this infinite soup, be as rudderless as a message corked in a wine bottle by a castaway. Let me be tossed adrift on roiling currents of gas, and into the red, anticyclonic eye of Jupiter. I'll be spit out with a coronal mass ejection from a distant sun. And in the end, let God dip his spoon into this mess of a soup I'm unable to escape. Let him consume and digest me. Let me become the body and blood. The next poem I'm going to read is called The Final Solution. And I have a relevant quote by Russian poet Yevgeny Yevtushenko as the epigraph here. The quote is, "When truth is replaced by silence, the silence is a lie." So here's the poem, A Final Solution. We, the objectionable, the offensive, the obnoxious, the censurable, no longer have free speech. A new law decrees free speech is forbidden. All speech henceforth must be PC. So we, the objectionable, say nothing and choose free silence instead. But soon we'll be denied even that. Our silence will make us suspect. We'll be interrogated, then shot with sodium pentothal, biometrically mapped and polygraphed, forced to confirm our submission in sound, not silence. To say so often what they program us to say, we believe it ourselves, proven by slogans we shout from our sleep. Perhaps they can make us believe anything. That an abattoir is heaven, a gas chamber, a shower to refresh our souls. We'll smile in a queue to the promise of bliss, unaware of the crematoria, bodies on their runways, the final holiday flights ascending on silent wings of smoke. The next poem I'm going to read is called, it's called Anno Domini 2019. Now this was inspired by a poem by Italian poet Salvatore Quasimodo called Anno Domini 1947. Salvatore Quasimodo was a Nobel Prize winning poet. He won the Nobel Prize in 1959. He lived through World War II in Italy in the aftermath and the sufferings of the Italian people in the years after the war, which inspired him to write a poem called Anno Domini 1947, which in turn inspired me to write this poem, Anno Domini 2019. Will the time ever come when the thundering of drums and the dirge behind coffins will end? When we are done with the wrecking of cities, and with fists of iron plunging from above, with the pummeling of lives and with the splattering of blood, as on a toddler alone, terrified and crying, beside its dead mother and a photograph snapped, and a train station bombed out in China, or at a recent feast for a wedding without photos in Yemen, where everything but bones was annulled by drones. Will the time ever come when I am able to stop shouting, "Why, my God, have you forsaken us?" Will a taste for milk and honey ever replace the vengeful detritus of hatred and death that hungers in our breasts? Will we ever be allowed to bury forever our missiles on the meadows of sunflowers? Now the fourth poem I'm going to read is called Spider. I watched you as you weaved your web, like a fisherman focused on mending his nets. I never noticed the flies you drained of life, though I saw the aftermath you left, like pennants hoisted on the halyards of a ship. I enjoyed greeting you every morning and saying good night to you all that summer. Though you had grown fat, the only kill I witnessed was your last, a wasp more massive than you. Later, I watched you angle your plump belly of an arse over the rigging sheets of your web, and shit out digested remains and dark, viscous drops. But soon a wasp, even larger than the last, perhaps your victim's mate, took you from your web, like an owl hooking a mouse out of an open field. I did not see the lair which lava consumed your still living, paralyzed body, but I saw your web as a ship abandoned, adrift in a gale, sails torn, stays and shrouds tattered, ghosts unspinning in the wind. And the last poem I shall read is called Dark Voyage. The fire has dimmed, the embers glow, like a lantern on a square-rigged ship, though they wheeze and weaken, slowly consumed by the intrusion of darkness. I know that this world is wayward, its helmsman blind as our vessel drifts toward a deserved black hole of doom, but this night is soothing and still. No wind pounds or rips limbs from the trees, and all the birds are settled and asleep. The only sounds are the crackle and sizzle of burning wood, not even teased by a breeze. Then a moan from a meadow calls from the darkness, like a desolate wail disproving the peace of a quiet sea. A cow in mourning for her slaughtered calf informs me I'm not alone in loss, that the tides of this ocean carry us all to the same anchorage of grief. What will we discover when we sight our final port, disembark, and explore our last shore? What treasure of our lives will we barter with buccaneers who have stolen the scales? Will they grant our souls one chance on the balance for safe passage to heaven, not hell? Or are we bound to be reborn in a new Tortuga of plunder and murder, and why? But the night is still and has no answer, save embers warming me yet, and a cow bellowing now as if drowning in rip currents of grass. And off the bow and rising, a full moon, a picaroon skull, a lurid doubloon. Thank you. Thank you very much.